Hi guys! Welcome to another video, or welcome to my channel. Today's video is going to be about the saddest books I have read, or more specifically, books that have left me sobbing. Tears dripping down my face and just hyperventilating crying. Some of the books you'll probably heard about, and some of them I'm hoping you maybe haven't heard about. Some of them were some I read like in 2021, and let's get started. Let's just get this one out of the way because it's definitely one you probably heard about, which is the Boys of Tommen series, which I'm sure you've probably heard about if you're on BookTok or BookTube or any platform that talks about books, really. These books, this series in general, is so incredibly sad. I think I cried throughout all 4 of these books, and I'm sure I'll cry in the 5th one that comes out next month, because that's just what this book is about. I'll shortly just explain what the book is about if you don't know. Binding and Keeping 13 are about the same couple, which is Shannon and Johnny, and Shannon comes from an abusive household. Because they're sad, I would say look up trigger warnings for any of these books. They're sad for a reason, so just keep that in mind before you read any of these books. Shannon comes from an abusive household, and it's very sad and hard to read about. I was sobbing my eyes out. And Saving and Redeeming 6 are about Shannon's brother Joey and his girlfriend Aoife, I think is how you pronounce the name. So obviously he's also in the abusive household. And these books, I will honestly dare say, these are even sadder. Joey also struggles with drug addictions and other things, but the books are so good though. Like, this is one of my favorite series, so if you can read about it and you won't get triggered or anything, definitely look into reading these books. Even though they're thick, when you have read them you will think, I want more. Like, this isn't long enough. This next one is one of my favorite books, and I've only read it that one time and I want to read it again, but it was my favorite book for a really long time, which is Brightside by Kim Holden. I read it, I think, in 2021 maybe. But Brightside is basically, it's about this girl named Kate who goes to college, and she has a childhood best friend who she grew up with and stuff. And she also has some issues in her life with her mom and stuff. The book is also about like having secrets, and some are bigger than others, and she has a big secret that she doesn't want to tell anyone. It obviously comes out, and you as the reader can kind of guess it in the beginning, but she is very optimistic throughout all of these things and the hardships she's had in her life and stuff, which is why her best friend Gus calls her Brightside. There's also a second book that I actually haven't read, but it's from Gus's point of view after the first one ends. But that book definitely had me crying, sobbing, tears down my face. If that's something you'll enjoy, you should look into it. It's also just about starting college, meeting new friends. She meets a guy and moving away from your hometown and meeting new people. That's also what the book is about, but it's much more than that. Okay, then we have a YA book, which is The Words We Keep, but basically it's about Lily, who, I think it's 3 months prior to the book starting, found her sister like trying to unalive herself, and then she goes to like a mental facility and stuff to get help, and then she gets back. But the book is basically about Lily feeling like she is going crazy, like maybe she also needs to go to that mental hospital in a way. She starts experiencing, like, I don't know, OCD, I think it is. But she just starts really struggling with herself, and she doesn't know how to talk to her sister, and they used to be like best friends and they share a room, but now they're kind of just ignoring each other. They don't really know how to say it because she was the one who found her, and there's just a lot of struggling going on, and she starts to become more and more sad and depressed and just struggling, and she doesn't know how to say it to anyone because she doesn't want to take the focus away from her sister and make it about herself. So she just kind of bottles it in. Yeah, it was a really good read, so I would definitely recommend that one, but definitely look up trigger warnings and stuff. Then this book is one of the first ones I read back when I started reading in 2021. Haven't really heard anyone talk about it since then. I don't even remember where I got it recommended, but I never see people talking about it, this is where it ends. I bought this in a thrift bookstore in California, but I had already read it. Like I bought this in 2023. This book is about a school shooting. It's from, I think, about 4 different POVs. I don't really remember because, again, I read it 3 years ago. Let me just read the entire back for you because it actually is really interesting. 10 a.m. The principal of Opportunity High School finishes her speech, welcoming the entire student body to a new semester and encouraging them to excel and achieve. 10:02 a.m. The students get up to leave the auditorium for their next class. 10:03 a.m. The auditorium doors won't open. 10:05 a.m. Someone starts shooting. Oh, okay, it actually says right here, told from 4 different perspectives over the spans of 54 harrowing minutes. Oh, okay. Okay, so everything happens in 54 minutes. This entire book is 54 minutes, but I gave it 5 stars 3 years ago, so obviously I don't know now. I'm sure it's still really good. Obviously very sad because you see these 4 kids who are all trying to get away from the shooter, and you're also trying to figure out who it is. I don't think it's any of the 4, I don't remember. But I thought it was really interesting to read about, and also really sad because they're obviously all scared, and it's 4 students. I think 2 of them are siblings, but you see like different areas of the school because I'm pretty sure none of them are like in the same spot. So you see the shooting and the events that are happening from 4 different point of views, but also 4 different spots on the school. I thought it was really interesting, but probably shouldn't read it if you've ever been in a school shooting because they happen so often in like the US. I thought it was interesting to see like the perspective from the students. Yeah, I just thought this book was really good. The next book might be, I wouldn't say controversial, but it's definitely not everyone's taste. It's not my taste normally either. I've never read anything like it. I will just clarify that. But the next book is Underneath the Sycamore Tree. The reason why it's a little bit controversial and not everyone's taste is because it is step siblings. I know, don't come at me. But I will say, when I first heard about the book, I didn't know. I will also try to defend myself here. I've never read any kind of incest before, and the characters don't meet each other until they're 18. Yeah, the girl, Emery, has lived with her mom, and the guy has lived with their dad. Well, not their dad, her dad and his mom. But I was in a phase where I wanted to read sad books, and I knew it was going to be sad, so that's kind of more why I read it. Not for the romance part, but for the sad part, if that makes sense. It's basically about Emery, who had a sister. I don't remember if it was a twin sister. I think it might have been a twin sister, who dies from lupus. And then some time later, the girl Emery, also gets diagnosed with lupus, which is why she decides to leave her mom, because the mom is struggling with that from losing her child, and then having to look at a twin sister who looks like her also getting sick with the same disease. Therefore she decides to go and live with her dad instead. But the book is really sad because you can maybe guess what happens at the end, and it had me sobbing. So if you can look past the step sibling side of it, it's a really good book. Because it's also about grief, you know? She's grieving the loss of her sister. She's grieving the fact that she's also now sick with the same disease. She's grieving her relationship with her mother and just all of these things. And she's trying to fit in with her father and his wife, who she doesn't really have a relationship with. The next book is Full Tilt, which I actually think is a duology, but I've only read the first book in the series. It's about Casey and Jonah. Casey is like pop star or like band member, something like that. She is a musician, and Jonah is sick, and they meet up, and he's trying to hold her at a distance because he probably knows how it's gonna end up, and he doesn't want to hurt anyone else. It's already bad. He already feels bad enough that he's gonna leave his family. He doesn't want to get into a relationship and stuff when he knows that it's not gonna last. But obviously one leads to the other, and they end up together anyways. And it obviously has a very sad ending. Yeah, had me crying. Now we have a book that you probably heard about, which is A Little Life. A Little Life, and not that I think I like this little life, but I think this will traumatize you. A Little Life. Only read this, honestly I will say, only read this book if you don't have any triggers, because this book, if you have a trigger, this book probably has it. It has every kind of trauma that I can think of. With that being said, however, if you do not have any triggers, or you think that you can handle reading this book, I will say, first of all, read it slowly. I read it slowly. Don't take all of it in at once, because it will overwhelm you. But it is beautifully written. The characters are beautifully developed. The story is great, and I gave this book 5 stars. At the same time, don't read it unless you really want to and you think that you are okay with reading it, because it is a lot of trauma dumping. It is trauma on trauma on trauma. It is every kind of trauma. It is incredibly sad. I didn't cry that much during this book. I actually have a TikTok of me reading the last pages. I did read them. I did cry then, but I didn't really cry during the book, because I just think it was, you kind of feel numb because you were told so many traumatic, sad things. It just felt like I couldn't cry. And I normally cry very easily to books and movies and stuff. But if you don't know what A Little Life is about, it's 4 guys who you see kind of from when they meet in college in their 20s, all throughout their life. You see everything, every struggle they go through, falling in and out of friendships and their friend group, dissolving and coming together and having arguments and becoming friends again, and just seeing all the struggles. But there is a character who is like the main guy, which is Jude. I have no idea if I am in the same spot as I was before, but my camera died. So it's been about 40 minutes and now I'm back to finish the video because I still have 3 more books. I hope you heard enough about A Little Life, but we're gonna move on because I don't know where I was in that train of thought. Okay, this one is also a popular one, at least it was 3 years ago, which is 1,000 Boy Kisses. Incredibly sad. I cried so much. I did not guess what was gonna happen whatsoever. I was completely off the radar. You basically cry from almost page 1, then you have a little bit of a time where you don't cry, and then you have the last half of the book where you were crying. You should read it. It's about Poppy, and then the guy moves in next door. He's from Norway, I think. I don't remember his name. But they become friends, they start dating, then him and his family have to move back to Norway. And then in the meantime, those years where he's gone, something happens. They were supposed to stay in contact, but Poppy stops responding to his messages. And then when he comes back, he's like this bad boy who went off the road because Poppy stopped responding. And she doesn't want to tell him what's wrong. She's just kind of ignoring him. But obviously we find out at the same time he finds out. And I was shocked and I was crying. So then we have Long Shot by Kennedy Ryan, which is a sports romance actually. I think it's basketball. But it's very sad, and trigger warnings. It's about domestic violence. Not the main character though. Like the main guy. The guy you're rooting for, the guy that she's supposed to be with, is not the abuser. But yeah, it's very sad, and some of it is quite detailed, like some of the abuse that is going on. So you should definitely keep that in mind before you read it. I know it's a series, it's a Hoop series. I've only read the first one though. I haven't read the second or the third. It's more than just the romance between the girl and the guy. But it was a good book, that's for sure. But it was definitely hard and sad. I hope you found some new books to read, but again, remember to look up trigger warnings. I personally enjoyed all of these books. Doesn't mean that they're masterpieces or that they're amazing. It's just that they were enjoyable. Well, I guess not that enjoyable because they were very sad, but I like sad books. I actually love sad books. I love a good cry to a movie or a book. But yeah, let me know if you have read any of these books and if you found them sad, and your opinions on the books. And also let me know some sad books that you've read, because I always love a good sad book recommendation. Don't shoot the messenger. I hope you enjoy it, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.